Good morning and welcome to the Walton County Technical Review Committee meeting for November 3rd, 2021. Do we have any announcements this morning? Then we'll move right to approval of the minutes. Do we have any adjustments to the minutes as presented?
I don't see any adjustments necessary. Mr. Chair, I'll motion to approve the minutes as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, the minutes are approved.
Before we get started, Mr. Chair, I did have an announcement on, I was trying to find the item number 15. I would like to recuse myself due to a conflict of interest.
16?
15.
15?
It was submitted by Dewberry.
Duly noted. I think we have a request to continue that item also.
Okay.
We'll move right into project review. We have 4 requests to continue. Number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 15. We'll take those individually. Could we have the first one is item number 2, Emerald Coast Creative Concepts. The request is to continue to December 1st, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Could we have a motion of the dais?
So moved.
Have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to December 1st, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Next item is number 3, the Hartsvet Road Subdivision. We have a request to continue to November 17. Can we have a motion at the dais?
So moved.
Have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to November 17, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. in this location. That moves us to item number 4, Villages of Santa Rosa. We have a request to continue to December 1st. Can we have a motion at the dais?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to December 1st, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Excuse me? The printed agenda says December 1st. Number 4, Villages of Santa Rosa. We can reconsider that, yes. I mean, if you'd rather do it sooner, we're happy to move these sooner. Could we have a motion to reconsider and change the date to November 17, 2021 at 8:30 a.m.?
I'll revise my motion as stated.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Hearing none. This item is now continued to the November 17, 2021 TRC meeting at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Thank you, Bob. The last request for continuance is number 15. And since you have a conflict, I'm going to pass you the gavel. And I'll make the motion to continue to December 1st, 2021.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, sir. All right, this brings us back to the Dolphin Drive subdivision. This is a request to approve by minor development order. It's been reviewed by Kelly Schultz. Kelly, if you'll introduce it for us.
Dolphin Drive subdivision is project number MIN 21000052. It's a minor development order application submitted by Emerald Coast Associates on behalf of Mr. Michael Smith, requesting development order approval to develop 14 single-family lots and associated infrastructure on 2.52 acres of land. that have a future land use designation of residential zoning district of neighborhood infill. The property is in District 5. The subject site is located south of Highway 98, north of 30A, at the intersection of Dolphin Drive and Charming Way. Parcel numbers in your staff report, and I'd like to request that we enter the staff report into the record, please.
Leonard?
Thank you.
Looks like we got a number of staff comments. Can we hear from the applicant?
We've gone over most of the comments. There's not too concerning comments about any of the site plans or anything, or grading or utilities, but the compatibility analysis we'd like to discuss with the staff. The main concern is number, 11, miscellaneous documents, and number 3, explain the height proposed dwelling units and compatible with existing dwelling units, especially with the dwellings along Spotted Dolphin, which are 1 to 1.5 stories. The proposed, we don't have exact building heights for the proposed development. This would be individual lots sold. The Spotted Dolphin, the current development pattern 20 years ago is 1 story. The most recent houses are more 3-story houses. And currently there are 6 lots to the north of our property. 2 of those are developed. The other 4 are vacant and able to be developed. The current pattern would say that it would be 3-story houses that would be built on those lots.
Well, if you can't, how can you determine compatibility if you're not proposing a height?
Well, it would follow the Walton County's 4 stories or maximum 50 feet.
I mean, that's ignoring compatibility in my opinion.
Mike, I think, this is Dean. I think the point is that there's 6 lots that we abut. There's 6 lots that we're proposing against those 6 lots. There are 2 existing homes on Spotted Dolphin in that area. One is a 1-story, one's a 1-story in the front, 2-story in the back. The pattern of development within Serenity Development, which this is intended to be a continuation or quote unquote a new phase of Serenity, has been 2 to 3-story homes. The pattern of development in Hidden Highlands Subdivision on Spotted Dolphin recently has been 2 to 3-story homes, some of which are over parking. So I don't see that that's incompatible. It's consistent with what's going on within Hidden Highlands Subdivision itself. They've got some 1-story homes, they've got some 3-story homes.
Are you proposing any kind of transition in height? I mean, from Serenity to the south to Spotted Dolphin to the north?
Well, my point is that there's not really going to be a change in height. The height of those homes are roughly going to be the same height as what we're proposing. What we're looking at on those homes is a kind of a walkout basement concept, 2 or 3-story walkout basement homes. Has not been nailed down and confirmed that is what every lot will be. Furthermore, there's a 30-foot preservation buffer on the Hidden Highlands development that currently serves as a buffer. So I don't think that there's an issue with screening between us and the neighbors. We've talked with the developer, and he's fine putting up a fence or a wall to help soften any difference in building style or height. But our point is, what we're proposing is already being built in Hidden Highlands.
How tall are the houses immediately to the west?
The houses to the west, that's where we put our preservation, and we did that by design.
I know, but I'm just asking those 4 lots. We're talking about, you know, I recognize there are houses that are much taller, further away from this site, closer to 30A. Yeah, we've got some that are approaching 50 feet down there near Stinky.
But those homes, or the lots to the west of us, are 3/4 of an acre and larger. So clearly, that's why we put our preservation where we did.
Well, and we've got a 33-foot patent easement over there that likely will remain vegetated, because you're not proposing to use that, right?
We're not proposing, but we are not claiming it as compatibility, but it will serve.
It will function as such,
Right.
at least until the county chooses to use it for some purpose, if
Correct.
the county ever does.
Right.
Probably not in a location that that increases the probability to be used in the near future. So that will serve to provide some additional compatibility, at least until that gets used. How about on the northern side? I know that we got preservation on the perimeter buffer for the subdivision immediately to the north. Do we have any? We have some preservation against that, but are we doing anything along that northern boundary line?
We're not claiming any preservation there along that northern boundary. There already is 33 feet of preservation on Hidden Highlands, and like I said, we're willing to put up a fence or wall to add some additional buffering. But the location of our preservation was against those larger lots, and it's also a lower spot. It's the lowest spot in the development, so we didn't want to put houses in the lowest spot. There'd be problems with grading, with disparity of heights between us and the adjacent property, et cetera.
We're proposing an abbreviated rear setback there on those 4 lots against the preservation?
Yes, against the preservation. Yeah, we're observing the 5-foot setback against preservation. The preservation's going to be in a common area.
How is that going to function? I mean, is there going to be what's the back of the house going to look like? We're going to have steps coming out the back? I mean, I recognize that, yes, that is in the code. You could do a 5-foot rear setback there, but from a practical standpoint, when we're talking about preservation, I mean, if people are going to walk out their back door right into the preservation, and all of a sudden they're going to be in the preservation. And pretty soon, I need a barbecue grill, and I need some pavers, and I hire somebody to put in some pavers and make a patio in the preservation. Is there any way to move some of this preservation to that northern boundary and give those folks a little bit more rear yard?
We could take a look at that. Those 4 lots on the western side are deeper lots. Obviously, we show our setbacks as all-encompassing where the building setbacks are. Of course, the house does not have to occupy that entire setback. If they want to put a patio or, barbecue area or whatever may have you, there's room to do it in those lots.
Well, and we do allow a certain amount of encroachment into the setback. I'm just concerned that if y'all are not building these houses, whoever comes in to build them is gonna maximize the buildable area, and all of a sudden, that's gonna be the back side of the building, not the patio.
It could be, correct.
And then you're gonna have to have an exit. So we've got steps coming out the back side of the building. Are we proposing to fill these lots, or,
There'll be some fill, yes.
how are we gonna make the transition between the building pad and the preservation? Especially if we've got, I mean, do we have a grade? This is not flat right there, right?
No, it's dropping in grade, and there may not be. There could be an exit from the house to the north or south along the sides of the house. You know, every house has not been designed, you know, as part of this subdivision.
No, I'm just seeing a problem coming to our building permit reviewers being designed on the site. I'm just a little concerned that the actual use will encroach into the preservation.
If I recall, didn't you have varying finished floor elevations, so it kind of stepped down to match the contour of the land, so to speak?
Yes.
So you come in at one level, and then there's the second floor would be actually lower than the first
Yes,
entry level?
the walkout basement area would be at the back of the property at the same elevation. So the garage would be 1 foot higher than the roadway, but there would be either the option to do a walkout basement with stairs going down to that walkout basement, which matches the rear of the property. If that wasn't done, then the first floor would have to be stem walled. So the rear property slopes back and meets preservation, and then there would be no grading within that preservation or outside the lot.
Do we have any kind of cross-section that shows that change in elevation from the front of the lot to the back with the proposed grading?
There is a cross-section through, I think it's cross-section A. It goes from Charming Way at the south on Dolphin Drive, north to the Hidden Highlands. And that cross-section would show a drop in elevation.
Are you taking a look at that?
We don't have the grading plan in the packet to look at. I think he may have one that he's referencing, but I do recall looking at the grading. Obviously here with the preservation, they are proposing a retaining wall on the northern part of the property to allow for the infrastructure and the lots to be built. But I think it was listed lots, just as an example, lots 1 through 4, finished floor elevation, you know, X, and then lots 5 through 8 would have garage finished floor, and then they showed the it's hard to explain, but I kind of took a look at that just to make sure that there wasn't going to be any adverse grading impacts to the preservation area.
If you'd like, I have a printed copy of that if you need to see it.
Sure. Share that with us. Thank you.
The differing finished floor for upper level, garage level, and lower level, so that they can grade that.
Yeah, no, maybe this is it. Okay.
So those are profiles of the road. Not going this way, you know, the 2%
Yeah.
off the road, and I think the one shows everything over there.
I tell you what I want to see. Knowing how difficult this can be once we get to the building permit stage, I'd like to see a cross-section of a typical foundation for those 4 lots that are backing up against preservation. I mean, I'm concerned that there's going to be too much grading and not enough room behind the houses to protect preservation in that location and also provide, you know, a functional rear of the house for those 4 lots. And if y'all were building these houses, I would feel more comfortable because you'd be able to show me exactly what you're proposing to do with that particular grade. But if we're leaving it up to a builder that is not here today, I'd like some more guidance for our staff.
Developer will be building the houses.
But we're not prepared to show how we're going to deal with that today.
Today, we don't have specific house footprints. The walkout basement concept is what is intended there. But what we can do is go ahead and prepare a typical plan for those lots.
Yeah, I'd just like to see how we're going to protect preservation and make the rear of the house functional. So we're not having to figure that out at the building permit review stage.
Okay.
Because it'll be way too late then, because somebody will have owned these lots by then. I'd rather deal with this now.
Fine. And we can prepare that and, you know, meet with staff to go over that.
If we could do that, I think that would be our best course.
Okay.
I want to continue this for 2 weeks.
Plenty of time, as long as staff's available with the holidays coming up, otherwise.
Well, let's try to do it within the 2-week time frame. Let me suggest that, I think we have, before we do the continuance, I'm going to invite any technical questions or technical comments regarding this particular application from any member of the public attending today.
Mac, I'm going to need to excuse myself. I got another meeting over in Freeport, but it's in good hands with Sean.
Sure, thank you very
Thanks.
much, Dean. Yes, sir, would you like to speak?
Morning. My name is Gary Fleming. I live in Hidden Highlands Subdivision at 160 Spotted Dolphin. I'd like to respond to a couple of things that I heard here. Number one, there are no 3-story homes in Hidden Highlands. There are 3 that are being built on Spotted Dolphin, but currently there are no 3-story homes in Hidden Highlands. We are 1-story. We have 3 2-story homes, and then we have a few that are 1.5-story. But the latest 2 homes that have been built have been 1-story homes. I'm going through the slides here, and I guess you've got them there.
I think
Yeah, the second page there, we're not really opposed to this development. We assumed that sooner or later that this land would be developed. We do have some serious concerns about flooding. Our road flooded. Pictures there show what happened October 5th, just recently. Our road was covered. The last time we saw that happen was in Easter weekend, 2014, and it was followed about 3 weeks later by my home having 6 inches of water in it, and my garage having 1.5 feet of water in it. So we are real sensitive to what this is going to do to drainage coming down to our area. We are generally lower than a lot of this area, and so we see the water coming that direction. I was surprised by the subdivision drawing that came up because it's slightly different than the one that we saw that was the prelude to the neighborhood meeting. It did not show the smaller rear lots there along where the preservation area is. But I would say you basically have 6 lots that they're proposing that will cover 4 of our lots. So each one of our lots will have 1.5 homes or have 2 homes that we will see from our lots. My house personally will have in view 2 to 3 homes. When they start talking about the size of these homes, a wall's not going to do much. I mean, a 6-foot wall doesn't really cover up a 40-foot house. It just doesn't do that. The preservation area is planned for that western side, and in the community meeting, I asked why it couldn't have been put at the north. And I was told it was because the boundary on the west, the homes, which are Beach Highlands First Edition, are different. And so the lot sizes were different, but those homes, as you pointed out, really don't abut the subdivision. They abut an easement. And so there's already a buffer there. But I did say, you know, you are proposing to abut our homes, and the lot sizes are significantly different there as well, and we think there's an incompatibility. And to that, I was told, really, the problem is that nobody wants to buy a house that backs to a road. That may be true, but there is no road there. There's just a power line. And I can assure you, speaking for myself and the other folks that have lots backing up to this, we'd rather have power lines than short-term rentals. The LDC in this, and I'm not going to try to school you on that because you could explain it to me, but it focuses on visually minimizing adjacent land uses. I don't think a wall would do that. I'm not sure a landscape buffer would do that, but certainly adjoining our preservation area would change that. And that's what we'd like to see done. We'd like to see the preservation area moved up to the north boundary. The lot sizes are significantly different. Our average lot size is just a little under 8,000 square feet. The lot sizes that are proposed here are 3,791 square feet. That's a big difference in lot sizes. In the compatibility analysis, there was an argument put forth that if you took out all the preservation area in ours, the lots would be similar. Well, you just can't do that. I mean, the rules were the rules then. If you look at Beach Highlands, I think they were actually developed before there was preservation rules, and so their lots are a different size as well. You just get lots the way you get them. And then if you really look at what we're doing here, I think pictures tell you everything. And that's why the next few slides, I'm showing pictures of some of the homes that are in Serenity. Some of the latest buildings, you see they're 3-story, or they're 3-story with a garage in the bottom, which to me kind of makes them 4-story from a practical perspective. And then I got a picture of our house, which is a 1-story. Our driveways are different. We have long driveways. Many of our houses have rear entry garages. That was in the original covenants for this area, which are still on file, never got activated because the subdivision went belly up soon after it was developed. But we still have that kind of a look. And just looking at the 2 subdivisions, a casual glance, just drive down the streets. I know these are going to be bigger than Serenity, but they're still going to have the same feel, I think, of Serenity. And it just comes down to, from us, our lots are bigger. We have a different feel in the neighborhood. And I am an engineer by education. But
Could I ask you where these photos were on the last slide also?
oh, what are you asking? I'm sorry?
Where are these photos?
Oh, great.
I mean, there are no captions indicating what development they're in.
This is in Serenity. 2 tops are in Serenity. These are in Hidden Heights.
Okay.
I didn't know those were up there, actually. Yeah, those are street views, just to give an idea of the difference. And you can see here you front, and you got a driveway right there where cars are parked. And these you park back. Park in the front. So it's a whole different feel of the neighborhoods. compatibility is just obvious. So, at least from our perspective. Can I have a next slide, please? This demonstrates why I went into telecom instead of subdivision design. It's certainly crude, and in fact, it is absolutely cut and paste. But it shows that the preservation area can be moved, and you can still get 14 lots in there, and of the same sizes. In fact, these are a little bit larger because I didn't take and reduce that from 15-foot to a 5-foot rear setback. So it can be done. All we're asking is that it be considered and be put in place so that it can adjoin the preservation areas that we have, which we think is better for wildlife and better for humans as well. Again, we're not opposing the subdivision. We're just asking that the incompatibility be considered and that our concerns are the loss of privacy, security issues, the visual impact of having a 2 to 4+ story home right behind us. And we'd actually have 2 of them behind each one of our lots. And then noise and light pollution, and obviously all the things that come with short-term rentals. We were at dinner last night, and there's a realtor sitting next to us. We just started up a casual conversation. He was telling us almost all of his buyers want to know how many bedrooms, how many people I can get in here for new properties. I don't expect these to be different. The LDC does call for a landscape buffer if it's incompatible, or a screening wall. We don't think a screening wall would work well. Simply, it provides us security, but it also limits the movement of wildlife. And again, a 6-foot wall is not going to hide a 40-foot house. The best solution from our perspective is to relocate that preservation area to the north and figure out how to do this. I think that can be done. And I appreciate your time.
Thanks, sir. Do we have anyone else that wishes to comment on this particular proposed development? Seeing none, we will entertain a motion to continue, unless you'd like to.
I have looked at, I saw the first alternative design. The second one, this is the first time seeing it. I know the first one, Sammy would want a T turnaround at the end of that northwest section. The grading on the site makes it very difficult to do any roadway along that easement with those existing houses and fences along that easement. It would be very difficult to put a roadway in that section, in my opinion. That's why we have our preservation set up how we do. The second plan, it to me doesn't look like there is enough preservation to meet the county requirements. I'd have to draw it in or scale it to measure it. The argument with the compatibility and design of Spotted Dolphin versus the Serenity subdivision, we are tying into the Serenity subdivision. People that will be accessing this subdivision will drive through Serenity to get to it. There won't be an access from Hidden Highlands or Spotted Dolphin that would have view of these single-family homes. It would be following the development pattern of Serenity, which is shown in these slides. And for the compatibility analysis, I believe that those lots in Hidden Highlands, if all the preservation area was put in a common area, as per what the Walton County Code is now, those lots would be comparable in size and no landscape buffer would be required.
Well, I'm not sure I completely agree with that, but we can discuss those things when we meet in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
We'll entertain a motion to continue to November 17th.
I'll make a motion, we continue this project to the November 17th TRC meeting.
We have a motion, do we have a second? Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Hearing none, this item is continued to November 17th at 8:30 a.m. in this location. And if we could get with Rachel and get our meeting scheduled.
Yes, sir.
Do they need to update their sign as well, just as a clarity?
Yes, and
Yeah.
please update the sign for the benefit of our public.
Yes.
Thanks, sir. We'll move us to item number 6, the Destin Land Connection minor development application, also reviewed by Kelly Schultz. Kelly, if you'll introduce this one for us, please.
You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
The Destin Land Connection is project number MIN 21000044. It is a minor development order application submitted by David Folstrom on behalf of the Destin Land Connection, requesting development order approval to redevelop an existing RV park into 9 single-family lots and associated infrastructure on a parcel that's 1.25 acres in area. The future land use designation is residential and the zoning district is neighborhood infill. Unlike the other project, during the pre-application meeting on this one, the applicant did advise that the dwellings would be used as short-term rentals. The property is within District 5. It's located south of Highway 98 and north of 30A at the intersection of Payne and South Payne Streets. The parcel number's in your staff report, and I request that the staff report be entered into the record.
Thank you, and so entered. Good morning, David.
Good morning. My mic on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I've not seen the staff report on this yet. It wasn't uploaded. I emailed Kelly this morning. Oh, you did email it to me? Ah, okay. Here we go. Get it real quick.
Do you want to take a moment to take a look at that?
Okay. A lot of these are notational items. I agree with all those. I think the kind of the main issue is this development is pretty much identical to the one to the south, Treasure Sands, that was previously approved, 9 lots. And I don't know if there's been any code changes since then. There could have been. It has a land patent easement, 33 feet along, Payne Street, and also head north Payne Street. And our intention was the Payne Street easement to dedicate it as a public right-of-way. The North Payne Street, we were going to have a private right-of-way, but if the county would like to accept the maintenance and have that public right-of-way, we can certainly do that. And that being said, the stormwater, majority of the stormwater is under the North Payne Street private right-of-way. Now, if the county does want it a public right-of-way, we can redesign the stormwater and remove it all from that public right-of-way for the North Payne Street, if that's what you would like. Just kind of needs some direction there. It's one of those, another one's with that, an ancient land patent easement, which it really doesn't go anywhere, but I know the county doesn't want to give up stuff like that. So I just need to know if the county 100% needs that as a public right-of-way, or if it could be private.
Well, the only way it can be completely private is if you propose to abandon the public easement.
Okay.
That ain't very popular at the dais at the BCC these days.
Yes.
Pardon
No, Kelly was very helpful. She told us that early on.
Now, with regard to whether or not you can put your, even if it's shown as a privately maintained easement area, county still has the authority to tell you not to put your stormwater in there unless it's just stormwater for that roadway, but not stormwater for the lots.
Okay.
That we don't put stormwater for the lots in public easements.
Okay.
Now, for the roadway, yes. because that's a component of the roadway.
Sure.
But stormwater for the lots would not be a public responsibility.
Okay, we can take all the stormwater out of the public right of way. There's a T drive that's gonna be common area, not part of the public right of way. We can put it all there. We'll just have to dig a little deeper hole, but we can put the exfiltration there. That's acceptable. There's already some there. We'll expand it.
Are you gonna be able to put 9 lots worth there?
It's a very low water table, yes. We can add more piping and less gravel rock to increase the void volume. So,
Well, I know one of the comments from Public Works was concern about access for Lot 9. And they were suggesting that would not be a functional lot. So there may be some redesign necessary within the comments after you've had a chance to.
okay. Regarding Lot 9 access, it's identical to the one across the street, and it is a public street. If you could kind of help me understand why we can't have that lot access from Payne Street?
Well, I'm going to be very frank with you.
Sure.
We may not have always done things the right way,
Sure.
in the last 40 years.
Oh.
And there is no responsibility for us to continue doing them the wrong way.
Oh, I would never use that as an excuse. I understand we have to have the current code. I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about code compliance. I'm just talking about bad design. We
Okay.
got a lot of bad design throughout our county.
Sure.
That may have occurred at some point in the last 40 years.
Mhm.
I mean, our designers have gotten smarter. Our reviewers have gotten smarter in the last 40 years, and the code has gotten a lot smarter in the last 40 years.
Gotcha.
So we've got lots of legacy subdivisions that could not be developed today.
Oh, understood.
But we're still having to approve single-family homes on those lots because they're entitled to build one.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do is make sure we're not perpetuating patterns that may have existed in the past, that may have been allowed to be developed. We're trying to do this a little bit smarter today than we
Okay.
may have done in the past. No disrespect to anyone that came before us, either on the private side or the public side. But as we start to build out and things get much more dense, I mean, we're not proposing to increase density here. I recognize that. But it needs to be functional. Because at some point, somebody's going to own these lots. And the way things are going today, people are buying these things on their phone.
Right.
Then they show up and say, this isn't what I looked at on my phone.
Right.
Well,
We-
shame on someone for buying a house on their phone.
Right. We felt the easiest way to be access it directly to Payne Street, but I'd like to maybe, not for this meeting, but offline, talk to Public Works to understand their concerns and make sure we do everything correctly.
Well, I think that would probably be a good idea, so that we come up with, a design that works for, both for our public works engineers and our planning staff, but most importantly, for the end user, that will ultimately be purchasing these lots and building houses here. And, I would like for them to be complimentary of us when they look back to the development stage.
Oh, I agree, and so do we.
You can probably sell them for more money
Right.
if we get in that particular circumstance.
Okay.
I'd like to suggest we continue this so we could have that discussion.
Yes, sir.
And probably 30 days would be a good time. We sit down and have a discussion and then give you time to make some changes to the proposed plan and allow our reviewers time to review it.
Okay, so like December 1st?
I think that is, that's our next meeting, I think. Yes, December 1st. Would that be acceptable
Yes.
to you?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Then we'll entertain a motion to continue this item to December 1st. And see what we can come up with in the meantime.
Okay.
Get with Rachel and we'll get a meeting scheduled.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll entertain a motion to continue to December 1st.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to continue this item to December 1st, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. in this location. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is continued to December 1st, 2021 at 8:30 a.m. in this location. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
This will move us to number 7, Estates at Hidden Palms Plat, reviewed by Stephen Shawn. Stephen, if you could briefly introduce it for us.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Project number PLA 21-000037 is a plat application submitted by Innerlight Engineering on behalf of Estates at Hidden Palms, requesting to develop 7 single-family lots on 1.25 plus or minus acres with a future land use of residential in a zoning district of neighborhood infill. Property is located in District 5 and identified by the parcel IDs in your staff report. If I could have that entered into the record, please.
So entered.
Thank you. There are some outstanding minor planning, surveying, and GIS comments, but they all appear to be minor clarifications. And I can answer any questions you have.
Do we have a answer on the homeowners association?
I've not received an answer on that, no.
It looks like there's going to be one. So,
Yeah, we'll need some documentation as we move forward.
yeah, review of the covenants to make sure that anything in the development order that needs to be in the covenants is actually there.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, sir. We'll hear from the agent.
Morning, I'm David Smith with Innerlight Engineering, and I did want to clarify, there will be a homeowners association, and we will provide the necessary documentation to Stephen. So I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
See any issue with any of the comments in the staff report?
They're all very minor. Like Stephen said, they're just, more cosmetics and just providing additional clarification.
I would agree with that also. Any questions from the TRC? If you have no questions about the comments, we'll move forward with the motion.
Thank you.
We have a recommended motion?
Yeah, I would recommend conditional approval and moving it forward to BCC once we have satisfaction.
Stephen, we have a recommended motion. Do we have a motion of the dais?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is approved to move forward to the BCC, subject to satisfaction of comments and production of the signed Mylar. Thank you, David. Moving forward to number 8, Seacoast Estates. This is a major development reviewed by Renee Bradley. Renee, if you could introduce it for us.
Yes, sir. Project number major 21-000015. This is a major development order application submitted by Baker Engineers LLC on behalf of Seacoast Estates LLC. They're requesting to develop a 68 single-family lot subdivision on 204 plus or minus acres with a future land use of rural residential in a zoning district of rural village. The property is located in District 3 and is identified by the parcel ID in your packet. I'd like to enter a staff report to the record, please.
Thank you, Renee.
We still do have some outstanding comments on this project. This project, since it was here last, has received a variances for the accesses off of Martin Road to have joint accesses there. I do think that they still need to make another formal resubmittal to address the comments that we have outstanding. I did get a response from Mr. Baker on some accesses to the lots and setbacks, in which I'm not completely in agreement with. I'd like to give. that pavement is extended to those lots instead of just having, it appears like it's crossing the actual lot next door without an easement or anything. So, and there is several lots in my comments in which the property lines for the front and the setbacks are not really clearly identified. So other than that, I don't have any major comments outstanding. With that, I'd like to turn it over to the applicant.
Before you go, there are a number of comments from Liberty Fire District.
Yes, sir, there is. I have sent this packet also to Mr. Roy, which was done this morning. I was a little bit late getting that back to him, so he has to see those revisions. They were showing some fire hydrant locations. I think that might have been overlooked, but I'll let Mr. Roy respond to that on the resubmittal, because we need a formal resubmittal other than this for his comments.
Very important that we address the fire district's comments.
Absolutely, yes, sir. So may I turn it over to the applicant, sir?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle Baker, Baker Engineers. As far as the fire hydrants and everything, I think they're on there. I just think he didn't see them. So we had resubmitted that through email, just pointing out exactly where they were. They were actually right where he wanted them. I just think he was looking at the wrong sheet. So they're there, promise.
Well, sometimes we reviewers need help seeing
Yes,
what
they
is
just,
actually on the plan.
so we just helped point him in the right direction of where to find all the fire hydrants and everything he needed to see. And as far as setbacks, not being able to see them on the plan, I can definitely get with Renee and make sure they're all clearly shown on there. Each lot has setbacks and lot lines. And I don't have this paper that Renee had that she was showing, that one.
The lot 27 access. Yes, that was one that it doesn't look like we're actually providing any kind of paved access to.
Right, so as you can see, lot 28 has a very large frontage to the loop road. So they can have access right there, which I can clarify where they should have access and put that on there if that would help. And then lot 27 would have access from the end of loop road.
Okay, but we're showing an access to 331 off of lot 28 at the,
That's loop road that goes, that accesses Highway 331.
why would we not at least stub out to lot 27?
To have maintained roadway right there for lot 27.
Well, we're providing access to all the other lots right there, aren't we?
Yes, I mean, but you can see there's no driveway shown. I mean, you have maintained by the HOA a certain portion back, so the lot line doesn't start right there. So everybody's going to cross over into Loop Road. It's just that lot 27 has more of that space. You see what I'm saying? Like the driveway goes all the way to Loop Road, but the right-of-way of Loop Road that's maintained by HOA is not exactly, you see where the lot line is? So everybody has to have a driveway that comes up to Loop Road.
Okay, well, I'm just wondering why this one needs a longer driveway.
Well, that's just the way it is with the way the lots are aligned. So if you just want to stub out, where we just stub out and create that road a little bit longer, I don't see why we couldn't do that.
Well, here's the problem we're going to get to when somebody comes to, because y'all won't be building these houses, these lots will be sold and they'll be custom built likely. Or it may be one builder, but what we're going to get is, I want a driveway, my own driveway to 331.
Mm-hmm.
This plan really doesn't, I mean, if I were the owner of lot 27, I would argue that I don't have access to that road that y'all built to serve those other lots. I want my own driveway. And DOT might give them one. And that was part of our concern about access here. If we're not defining the access for lot 27, it's going to be an argument once we get the building permit review as to where that access is going to be.
Right, that might be a good thing, a legal reservation in the HOA document that specifically states that access requirement, and then we can put something on the plans that states where their access is, that they cannot access off of 331.
Well, we certainly need that. Okay.
Is this the only one?
I
This is the only access, okay.
Lot number 67, I mean, are they, I can't quite tell from the drawing here, is there like a driveway access parallel to the right-of-way right there between lot 66 and the right-of-way?
Lot 66, the one that's on the north side?
67 access.
They have there's the roadway that comes in, they have direct access off of that roadway.
Yeah, I can't,
Because is it mainly a concern because some lots are adjacent to 331?
we want it to be clear that there are 3 access points on 331.
That's it, right?
That's what, well, 3 or 4, I guess.
4, I guess, yes, 4.
And not 8.
Right, I understand what you're saying.
I'm just wondering, I mean, physically, how do you access lot 67? How much room do you have between lot 66 and the 331 right-of-way line for them to be able to get to that internal roadway?
So access to the lot, you mean the driveway
From
width?
the internal road there to access lot 67, how wide is lot 67 on the internal roadway?
I'd have to look back at the plans, but there was plenty of space. I know those lots are huge.
I'm just, it's not dimensioned on the plan. And it looks like lot 67, maybe it's in feet, I can't tell.
I was thinking it was more closer to 15 or 20.
Got a landscape buffer that occupies some portion of that. Which, depending on the width there, is likely to go away when that house gets built. If you could just clarify that for Renee, to provide adequate access for emergency access to that lot. And clarify that the access is on that internal roadway and not US 331.
Okay.
Satisfy us.
Yes, that's no problem. We can clarify all the access and setbacks as far as everything else goes from Public Works and Engineering. There were no more comments. I got preliminary approval from Water Management District on everything. And I've talked to FDOT and I've got preliminary approval from them as well. So I think if we can just clear up the access issues, everything should be good to go with this one.
Well, it looks like most of the rest of the comments are minor in nature. Some labeling kinds of things. I'm happy to get with Renee and work out these few remaining.
Okay.
Are y'all comfortable with that?
Yeah, I think with regard to lot 67, it shows the landscape buffer, and then we have the width of the side yard setback, so it appears like there's only 7.5 feet to access that. So I think you can make a little shift on between 67 and 66 and
Make sure, I'll look back at that.
I think that's.
Yeah, I think that,
the only-
that lot line can be adjusted to provide adequate access so that it doesn't impact landscape buffer, and Renee can guide you on that.
Understand.
Any other concerns, Renee? Is that provide a path to address your comments? Could we have a recommended motion? Recommended motion is this moves forward to, is approved conditionally to move forward to planning commission, subject to satisfaction of all outstanding comments. Could we have a motion at the dais?
I guess I gotta send my statement. That's a right-of-way protection zone, so if that's the case, I think there's plenty of access provided to lot 67. If 331 were to ever get widened, I think DOT would take that into consideration in their design, so I don't know that there's an issue there, but I just wanted to restate what I said earlier. But other than that, I will make the motion as recommended by staff to move this project forward, subject to all outstanding comments being addressed.
We have a motion at the dais. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. We'll take just a moment to invite anyone's technical questions or comments about this particular item. Anyone in the audience wish to ask a question about this particular proposed development? Seeing none, we have a motion at the dais. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is conditionally approved to move forward to Planning Commission, subject to satisfaction of any outstanding comments. Thank you, Michelle. This moves us to item number 9, the request for minor development approval for the Glendale Presbyterian Church addition. It's been reviewed by Renee Bradley. Renee, if you can introduce it for us.
Yes, sir. This is minor 21-000055. This is a minor development application submitted by S&M Consulting and Expediting LLC on behalf of Glendale Presbyterian Church. They're requesting to develop a 5,164 square foot addition on 4.05 plus or minus acres with a future land use and zoning of general ag. The property is located in District 2 and is identified by the parcel ID in your packet. I would like to enter the staff report into the record, please.
So entered. Thank you, Renee.
There is a few outstanding comments. I think the biggest thing from planning was just having a site data table that incorporated the needed information from Chapter 5 of the Land Development Code. And with that said, sir, we did receive fire comments. They are good with fire since resubmittal. I checked that this morning. So with that said, can I turn it over to the applicant?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Stephanie Manning on behalf of Glendale Presbyterian Church. The architect is here as well. I think there may have been some confusion on what was going to be required and what wasn't. We've looked over Renee's staff report. Julie has got it circulated out to the church and the engineer as well. They're working on making some corrections. And then we want to circle back with Renee and discuss a few things and kind of go from there.
This is proposed fellowship hall.
Yes, sir.
Are we proposing to call on the parking for the main sanctuary to meet our parking requirement?
Can you repeat that for her?
We propose to call on the parking that exists for the main sanctuary to satisfy the parking requirement. I note that, and this is actually an engineering comment. Provide traffic analysis documentation confirming the project meets the de minimis criteria. If we're proposing to, as the code allows, to count the parking that already exists for the main sanctuary, in the context that the fellowship hall will be occupied by the same folks that occupy the sanctuary, would we need a traffic analysis?
This was reviewed in-house, but my understanding or my ideas behind it would be that this is an accessory use type structure to the actual use of the church, and in
Not actually generating new traffic.
it's not generating any new trips. I think a lot of times if we provide a statement, you know, describing that we've accepted that outside of a full-blown traffic analysis.
Can the applicant provide a statement to that effect?
Absolutely.
That, I think, will satisfy the need for that. Given that same folks are going to be in that new building that will occupy the main building. I'm fairly knowledgeable of this particular site. I don't recall there being any wetlands on this site.
It's essentially, it's almost like pasture land other than the church, an old building and then the cemetery. I mean, it's open land. It's not as if it's rolling hills or preservation or any type of sensitive species out there. There's nothing of concern. They're not clearing anything to put in this building. It's already an open area.
Chair, we've allowed statements in the behalf of this as well when it's this kind of development. Basically, if they would just address each one of the items that is listed in the application on a statement letter showing that there isn't any, I'm sure Haley would be good with that.
I'll provide that as requested. Okay, I think that would satisfy us on that list of comments.
The wetland map shows it's clearly in uplands.
Yeah, we don't have any NWI indication that there are any wetlands on the site, and it's been a little while since I've been to this site, but I've been to it a bunch of times. Do we have a recommended motion, Renee? Thank you very much. We have a recommended motion. Do we have a motion of the dais?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is conditionally approved to move forward to development order, subject to satisfaction of any outstanding comments. Thank you all very much. This moves us to item number 10, Origin Spec 3. This is a minor development reviewed by Renee Bradley. Renee, if you could introduce it for us.
This is a minor development order application, minor 21000058. This is submitted by McNeil Carroll Engineering on behalf of Watersound Town Center LLC. They're requesting to develop 19,743 square feet of office and retail space. Previously approved Origin Spec 3 Dsap on 55.12 acres. This project has a future land use of Bay Walton Sector Plan Town Center and a zoning of the same, and is located in District 1 and is identified by the parcel ID in your packet. I'd like to enter the staff report into the record.
So entered.
I don't have but one outstanding comment on this, sir. They just need to correct the parcel ID on site plans. And with that said, I'd be glad to turn it over to the applicant.
Thank you, Renee.
Thank you.
Good morning, Robert Carroll. We read over the staff report. There's 2 items to address: update the parcel ID and then just confirming the flood zone map, which we're in an X, so we're good. So we have no objection.
Okay. Any questions from the DRC?
Can I ask about the parcel ID number? Because I usually rely on the site plan for that, for my traffic letter. Or you know, is it, if we need to revise that, I'll have to revise my letter. I just want to know.
It is listed as 0030. It's actually 0040 when you pull it up on GIS.
To make that change. It may be true for the next one also?
Same
Same thing, yeah. Okay. No further questions.
Thank you, sir. This is a minor development. We're going to invite any questions from any member of the public regarding technical compliance with Land Development Code or comprehensive plan. Anyone in the audience wishing to offer a comment on this application? Seeing none, we'll entertain and recommend a motion.
Recommend that we move this forward to development order depending satisfaction of the 2 outstanding comments.
We have a recommended motion to conditionally approve and move to development order subject to satisfaction of outstanding comments. Can we have a motion of the dais?
So moved.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is conditionally approved to move forward to development order subject to those conditions. And that will move us to item number 13. I'm sorry, number 11. Going too fast. Number 11, Origin Spec 2, proposed minor development, reviewed by Renee also. Renee, if you could introduce this for us.
Yes, sir. This is project number minor 2100059. It's a minor development order application. This is adjacent pad to the previous one, which is basically identical, and they're also requesting to develop 19,743 square feet of office and retail space. This is located in Bay Walton Sector Plan Town Center for the zoning and land use category, and it's in District 1 and identified by the parcel ID in your packet. I believe we have the same 2 outstanding comments on this. Also like to enter staff report into the record, please.
I noticed they're proposing to provide twice as much parking.
The parking's existing, sir. We've already developed the parking on these sites.
But we have actually twice as much as we would have with the 50% reduction, which sort of negates the reduction.
Yes.
Thank you. Applicant?
No comment.
Then we'll entertain and recommend a motion.
Motion moving forward to the development order pending satisfaction of the outstanding comments.
Thanks. We have a recommended motion. We'll take a moment to invite any technical questions or comments from any member of the audience. Got any questions? Since you may be almost our only member of the audience, then we'll close that portion and entertain the recommended motion at the dais.
So moved.
We have a motion to conditionally approve this item and move it forward to development order subject to satisfaction of all outstanding comments. We have a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is conditionally approved to move forward to development order.
Thank you.
Thank you. That moves us to item number 12. Walton County Dsap 1 Road Extension of Origins Way. Minor development reviewed by Renee Bradley. Renee, if you could introduce that one for us.
Yes, sir. This is project number minor 2100057. It's a minor development order application submitted by Innerlight Engineering Corporation on behalf of the St. Joe Company, LLC. They're requesting to develop 0.5 miles of pre-approved Dsap 1 roadway as Origins Way from Phase 1A to the site on the west on 14.11 acres with a future land use and zoning of Bay Walton Sector Plan Village Center. The property is located in District 1 and is identified by the parcel IDs in your packet. I'd like to enter the staff report into the record.
So entered.
So there is a few outstanding comments. We have one from environmental and planning, floodplain management. I think my comments are mostly minor. I would like to see a landscape plan on this project. And with that, may I turn it over to the developer? Thank you.
Good morning, I'm David Smith with Innerlight Engineering, and I agree with Renee. The comments are minor. I know we have some additional clarification we need to provide for Haley on the flood zone, but we'll make sure we get that to her. And I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
We had any comments from mosquito control yet on this? And it looks like what is proposed for stormwater would be readily accessible. there,
Absolutely,
right?
yes,
Since it is adjacent to the roadway.
exactly.
So I wouldn't expect that they would have a concern about that proposed design, but we will need to get their comments before we can approve it. Any questions from TRC? We'll invite a question from our audience,
Thank you.
and then we'll move to recommend a motion. Anyone in the audience wish to ask a technical question or make a technical comment about this proposed application? Seeing none, do we have a recommended motion, Renee?
A minor development order, we'd recommend it move forward to the DO once all outstanding comments have been satisfied.
Thank you, Renee. We have recommended motion. Do we have a motion at the dais? I have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is conditionally approved to move forward to development order subject to satisfaction of the remaining outstanding comments. And that moves us to number 13. The Grace Point Condos. This is a minor development reviewed by Renee Bradley. Renee, if you could introduce this one for us.
Yes, sir. This is minor 21-0000056. This is submitted by Innerlight Engineering Corporation on behalf of JS Partners Grace LLC. They're requesting to develop 13 multifamily condos, and I would like to add, which is not in the ad, 3 single-family lots as well, and 10,000 square feet of commercial buildings on 2 acres with a future land use of mixed use and zoning district of traditional neighborhood development. The property is in District 5 and is located within the parcel IDs in your packet. We do have some outstanding comments on this project. We have some from Public Works, Engineering, Planning. I think any of these are holding the project up. Most of my comments were based on how they were going to plat these so I could figure out the recreational fees.
Do we have any public comment on this?
No, sir, I've received no public comment. I would like to enter staff report into the record, please.
Thank you. It's so entered. We'll hear from applicant.
Thank you, Renee, and good morning again. I'm David Smith with Innerlight Engineering for the record. This request is consistent with the recently approved Prominence PUD amendment, and when we were going through that amendment, we were very detailed on the approved master plan. We had multiple community meetings, if you recall. I can't remember the number, but it was something like 5, 6 community meetings. So we did go work with the neighbors extensively during that process. So to my knowledge, I know, and per your question, we've had no public interaction on the technical development order because we had extensive interaction during the PUD process. That would be my opinion.
Given the amount of public interaction we had when we were going through the previous process, and that level of detail. And the recognition, there's no one here this morning to ask any outstanding question. I just wanted to get that on the record.
Well, thank you, and
If you do the hard work before you get to this stage, then I take this as a show of support when no one's standing here with torches and pitchforks objecting to what's being proposed. You've done a lot of hard work working with the community, and there was disagreement on the previous actions that the county took, but those things got worked out, and they appear to have gotten worked out in a favorable manner because there's no one here to object to the proposed project.
And I'll add one brief thing to that. We did the hard work because Renee was in it with me too, so I want to make sure staff was with me.
Well,
So,
thank you for that
but I
recognition.
agree with everything you said. Thank you very much.
And thank you for the work you do, David. We'll entertain and recommend a motion. If there are no further questions.
Thank you.
Applicant.
Recommend this to move forward to the development order once all comments have been satisfied.
Thank you, Renee. We have recommended motion. Do we have motion at the dais?
I'll make that in form of a motion. I think I need to revise. I didn't have any comments, but I don't believe I referenced the 3 residential lots, and I think I need to.
Your
I owe
traffic
you
does
a
need to be
revised
updated. I
traffic
noticed
letter.
it, yeah.
And it's not in the staff report, but I just want to put that on record, so I will make that the amendment, but I will make a motion that we, project subject to satisfactory.
Satisfactory, all outstanding
Yeah,
comments.
That word, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a motion at the dais. Do we have a second?
I'll second, but we need to add Public Works' comments to the staff report. I don't see them in there.
I don't think I had them at the time it came out, and I don't know if they're printed, because I did have one that I printed out this morning. Are they there?
I have them.
Were they on your table
No,
this morning?
No, ma'am.
Then I missed them, so I will absolutely get them in there. Thank you.
I mean, can I ask where they are?
Yeah, what comments do we have?
Number 13.
I think I marked them on here,
Right,
so
it's in
maybe
I've got them right here.
Yeah.
No, it was in there. I apologize.
it's there? Okay,
Yeah, they are provided.
They
to
are
us.
there. I apologize.
good.
They don't look to be
Yeah, they
substantial.
No, they're not.
Pretty minor and can be easily addressed by the applicant.
Okay.
Very good. That was provided to us in advance.
So for David's knowledge, it's provide a construction detail for the proposed asphalt path, or the multi-use path, and then provide assurance that the runoff from some of the brick area on the north of the proposed building A is collected and contained on site. So they're very minor.
We can do that.
Grading.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so my motion is to approve this subject to satisfactory response to all outstanding comments.
And I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. I think we've already invited public comment, so all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is conditionally approved to move forward to development order subject to satisfaction of any outstanding comments. And that will move us to number 14, the Watersound Camp Creek Phase 2A plat. This is a request to approve final plat. It's been reviewed by Renee Bradley. Renee, if you can briefly introduce it for us.
Yes, sir. This is PLA 21000038. This plat application's been submitted by Innerlight Engineering Corporation on behalf of Camp Creek Residential Development, LLC. They're requesting to plat 49 single-family lots and associated infrastructure as Phase 2A of Camp Creek Residential on 27.79 acres with a future land use of Bay Walton Sector Plan Village Center and zoning of the same. Property is located in District 5 and is identified by the parcel ID in your packet. And I'd like to enter the staff report to the record, please.
Thank you, Renee. So entered. We'll hear from the applicant. If there are no further questions for staff.
I don't have any questions.
Thank you. I'm David Smith with Innerlight Engineering, again for the record, and I would be more than happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
I think we just have a couple minor comments. think my questions were answered during the development stage.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, David. We'll entertain and recommend a motion.
Would recommend, once all comments have been satisfied, to move this forward to the Board of County Commissioners. We receive signed Mylar with all payments.
Thank you, Renee. We have recommended motion. We have motion at the dais.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed likewise? Hearing none, this item is conditionally approved to move forward to the VCC, subject to satisfaction of outstanding comments and production of the signed Mylar and payment of all fees.
Thank you.
Thank you. This moves us to item number 16, the proactive data office.
Yes, Mr. Chair. As you said, this is the Proactive Data Office. It's project number MIN 21000054. It's a minor development application submitted by Chris Rowland requesting to develop 2,300 square foot office space building and associated infrastructure, and also a future 2,800 square foot and 1,900 square foot buildings on 1.25 plus or minus acres with future land use of rural residential and the zoning district of rural village. The property is in District 1, and the parcel number is in the staff report. Mr. Chair, there are very minor comments on this. There is one public comment that I'd like to enter into the record for the agent, and I will also give him a hard copy. I received a call yesterday from a Mrs. Frankie Drake. She lives directly behind him, and she was concerned that they were going to limit her access easement. I explained to her that they can't take away that easement without her permission, and that I would pass that concern to the applicant. And also, she's requested the applicant to build a privacy fence around the property line, and I also told her that I would ask the agent to consider that. I'd like to enter the staff report in the record. As I said, there's minor comments. The agent is here, and I will, if you have no further questions from me, I will turn it over to the agent for his presentation.
Thank you, Bob. Do we have any other questions? Staff at the moment? Thank you, Bob.
Good morning. My name's Blake Furby with Gordon Engineering. I'm the engineer of record. I hadn't seen the comments yet, so I'll be sure to go over those with Ms. Bob. I wasn't aware of a access easement. From the survey and data we've saw, don't think we're impacting any access easements, and we'll get with the owner about putting up a privacy fence. I know that they want to do very minimal clearing. A lot of the site's going to remain natural as it is now, and we're staying away from the adjacent property, and the landscaping is actually going to be the natural vegetation that's there.
Yeah, it's important to maintain the access to that parcel that looks like it might be isolated by this proposed development. So once y'all figure out where that is going to be, if you could show that on the plan, just so that it's clear for anyone that might come after us.
Right. Yes, sir.
Did we have any other questions for the applicant? I think these comments look pretty minor.
Do you think granting an access easement to that back parcel would create a redesign or a substantial modification to this plan, or do you think that would be something the owner would be willing to enter into an agreement for?
So I'd have to get the owner about that. I know that it looks like there's an existing kind of cleared area, kind of where the drainage pattern flows next to not necessarily a defined drainage ditch, but the kind of natural grading. I don't know if that's where an existing easement is.
I don't believe it's an existing easement. I think he's requesting that you all provide easement or access to his property, because if you develop this and cut off his access to the highway, I believe there's no other way to access it. From the email I read, I could be interpreting it wrong. Item number 1 in his email says, since my acre will be completely surrounded by other privately owned property in this new development proposed project, I would like an agreement in writing that I will be granted an easement to access my acre. I think he's requesting that you all kind of sit down and maybe come to an agreement if possible to give him access.
Okay, as I say, we'll take a look and see what we can find on some of the historic kind of plats, and if there's any sort of easement that we're not aware of, and then get with the owner about meeting with, responding to the comment about providing access and seeing if there's anything we can work out.
It looks like this, at least from the aerial, it looks like the site is presently undeveloped
Correct.
to the north. Do we know what, I mean, is the rest of the ownership around that lot also privately held?
Believe so. I think it's a different, each lot's got a different owner.
But they're all private lots
Yes.
rather than some public entity?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be probably my biggest concern, is making sure that lot does have access. So if y'all could meet and work that out.
All right, I say we'll make sure to do that.
Share with us what's been agreed to, and if it's on the subject lot, show that on the plan, just so it's clear for when she decides to develop and needs to cross this particular property. It would be very helpful if we knew exactly where that had already been agreed to.
Right.
So that there would have to be a recorded easement, right? Public record.
Yeah,
So-
I mean,
so we'd have to.
it would need to be
Legal
recorded in
description.
public records, and we would request that it be shown on your site plan. Just so there's no question as to where it is after y'all develop. Make it a lot easier for those of us who have to address these things after this development process is over.
I understand.
We appreciate that. Did you have any other questions for us?
Don't think I do.
Then we'll consider recommended motion.
Chair, I'd like to make a recommended motion to conditionally approve pending successful resolution of the easement issue and successful resubmittal to address all the comments. And we'd like to see the result of that access easement put on the revised plan. Other than that, I can make motion to conditionally approve.
Thank you, Bob. We have a recommended motion. We'll take just a moment to invite any questions from our public. Anyone in the audience wish to make a comment or ask a technical question about compliance with Comp Plan or Land Development Code on this application? Seeing no hands, we will move forward with the recommended motion. Do we have a motion of the dais?
Well, I don't want to make this more complicated than it is about the easement, but I'm thinking that parcel that the particular person owns was purchased or given to or somehow created without an access point. So is it this developer's responsibility to give that particular person an access? Because they currently don't have one based on the GIS maps that I'm looking at.
I would suggest it needs to be resolved before we move forward with this particular development. They may have access somewhere else, and if that can be established, then that will answer our question. But if access is proposed through this particular project, then we need to know where that is. So, I think we can let the applicant and staff work through that, subject to the parameters that have been suggested in your comments, to make sure that we don't have someone that is isolated. And I'm not sure that we know what the history of title is, of the lots surrounding this. There may actually be some recorded easement in the deed, for that particular lot. But I think the adjacent owner was concerned might be dispensed with by approval of a development application on the same site, if that easement does cross this site. Just out of an abundance of caution, so we don't have anyone that's isolated, if we can just resolve this particular issue.
Just wanted to add that, I guess. So with that, I'll make the motion as stated by staff.
Thank you, Bill. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? Hearing none, the motion is approved to conditionally move this forward to development order subject to satisfaction of those outstanding comments and issues. Thank you very much. And that looks like that was the last item on our agenda, other than our additional business. So we'll move to that additional business and have a discussion about public participation via Zoom. Karen, do we have a proposed, I know that Steve Hall was working on some proposed rules of operation, rules of conduct, or house rules, for a better lack of a definition. I know he's been working on that. I know that the Zoom component was a component of that. And quite frankly, I am okay with Zoom for this particular meeting, subject to the will of this particular committee, because I think we will have to vote on whether or not we will participate by Zoom, and we'll have some public comment in just a moment. But I just wanted to get my feelings out. I think it does provide a way for folks to participate in this meeting, some of which might not otherwise have that opportunity. I'm not sure that we need the unlimited Zoom opportunity, given the limited nature of this particular committee's purview. And I think Steve has some recommended policies with regard to Zoom, which I have not yet digested. But what I would like to do is, just a suggestion, propose that we have this item on the next agenda, and we be prepared to approve a policy related to Zoom participation, or at least consider a policy and vote on that as to whether or not this committee will provide that opportunity for public input. And with that, I think we'll open it up to our audience and invite any comment on this particular topic. I think Ms. Morano may want to comment on this.
Good morning. Barbara Morano with South Walton Community Council. Thank you, Mac, for letting me have this conversation. I did not want to overload you with emails or go on Facebook. This is just, as you mentioned, something that I think would be an addition to the TRC. Since COVID started, Zoom has changed the way the world is working. In fact, many of us lament that we didn't take any stock in the company. What I've learned is the Technical Review Committee is the most important process in the whole building for Walton County. And since the procedure was changed, there are many projects that come through minor. That's really why I think I'm so passionate about getting Zoom back in here, because the public only has one opportunity to share with you before it's final. And just today, I think we had 10 minor and 3 major. So we seem to be having a lot more minor developments coming in. And the importance of a public participation is number one, it's the first stop for many projects and the last stop as well.
Zoom will help the citizens who can't get here, those who are handicapped, those who are away, those who have second homes here that still really want to know what's being built next to them. SWCC only sees positive reasons to continue Zoom for TRC. It's not quasi-judicial areas that are happening in planning, and I know we can't have Zoom there. But I think you mentioned policies. I know the BCC, you have to register 24 hours beforehand before you speak. That's something that you can consider, or the other part, which is easier, people could just do it the day of. That is your choice. You're also going to be managing it, so I appreciate, your effort to want to do this. And I'd like to see it happen. So help me, you said that maybe at the next meeting, there'd be more of a formal vote on this?
I think the direction from the BCC is each of the appointed boards or committees have to adopt a policy to choose to use that. And I think they did give us the latitude to do that within certain parameters. And I know Steve has been working on a policy that would fit the parameters the board set. I just don't think all of the TRC members have had a chance to review that. And I'd like to provide that opportunity, but to consider this policy at the very next meeting.
Well, I certainly appreciate it, and hopefully we'll have Zoom back at the TRC level. Really would be wonderful. So thank you.
And I would like to look forward to that also, because I think it does provide a valuable opportunity, especially since we have so many owners that don't live here.
Correct.
It provides at least an opportunity for them to, I mean, I know we've got streaming live available through the internet, but it's one way. We're pushing that out to whoever likes to dial in and receive that. The Zoom does provide the opportunity for two-way conversation, and as we know, there are some public comments that from time to time bring things to light that may not be evident in the review process. And I always want to consider that because what we approve is going to be what happens for at least some period of time. Ultimately, it may get redeveloped, and get changed. But it's important that folks have an opportunity to make comments that are the kind of comments that are appropriate for this particular committee, where essentially folks have a right to develop.
Absolutely.
And the purpose of this committee is to make sure that when they execute that entitlement, they do it consistent with the Comprehensive Plan and Land Development Code development standards. Most of what comes to this committee, and I'm going to take an opportunity just to comment on something that did appear on social media in an analysis of this particular committee's performance over the last year. I've become aware that there was a social media comment made by someone who's appeared at this committee in person and also online that why do we need the Technical Review Committee? They've had 289 projects approved in the last year and 0 denied. It makes it look like, at least to this particular commenter, that all we do is rubber stamp everything that comes to our door. I'd like to invite that particular commenter on social media to come sit with us for a whole day and see exactly how this works inside the building. Our job here at this committee is not to deny projects because what comes before us has already been determined to be an eligible use, or they wouldn't get this far. Our job at this committee is to make sure that eligible use meets all of the requirements of the Land Development Code. And if it does, they get to do it. That is state law. But to suggest that why do we need this committee? I think you suggested this very well may be the most important committee in the county because we see every project. It's our job to make sure that by the time we're done at this committee, that project at least meets the minimum technical standards of the Land Development Code. And we've had questions about, well, why do we continue things at TRC? And how many times can it be continued at TRC? Well, the code really says 5. But if we choose to continue it at our request, I'm not counting that. A project can stay at TRC essentially until it's ready to be approved.
And I'm very aware of that one with the
And I know that may,
Portland project.
and that may be frustrating for some of our public, that we continue a project and that some members of our public would like to just see denied on its first appearance at this committee. And I understand that. I mean, very few folks will embrace change. I'm concerned with what gets built next to me. I know something at some point will get built next to me, and something different may get built next to me, but I'm comfortable that we have systems in place such that whatever's being proposed will get properly reviewed, and whatever new is going next to me will comply with the regulations that apply to that particular lot.
And when I mention it is the most important committee, I have learned all the components that go into it, all the time that the staff puts into analyzing what comes before them. I understand that. And I also understand the engineers and the developers that come before you are a mixed group of people. Some packages come with their I's dotted and their T's crossed, and some packages do not. I see that just from the little bit that I've been here. And it puts time into what you do. So, and then maybe in the end it gets denied, but you have put all this time into it with engineering, with environmental, with all your planners that do everything. I mean, I understand that, and hopefully SWCC can get that out in the way that we conduct ourselves.
Well, and we certainly appreciate your comments, and I know you know all of this stuff. And some of it I'm saying, just to hear myself say it.
Okay, well, I appreciate it, Mac, and thank you very much.
It is very important, and I think Zoom participation provides an important component to the work that this committee does.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So when this comes up, I expect that I will be supporting it, and I hope that the rest of our committee members will also.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And like I said, I came all the way up here and listened to everything. And when I looked and saw it was on the agenda, I said, I better get up here to tell you, that I appreciate what you're doing. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Barbara.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else who wishes to make a comment about proposed Zoom participation policy to be considered at the next meeting? Seeing none, then I don't see that we have any further business.
Yeah, I just wanted to add a couple things based on that discussion. One, in regards to the false assumption that we rubber stamp projects, there's been many projects that get denied at the pre-application stage.
Well, and you make a very good point about that, and and I think we need to get some of that on the record. One of the things that our public is not privy to is just the number of pre-applications that we've had, a number of which never, ever make it to application. I think we had some, can you share the pre-application statistics with us that? Yes, just to repeat what Rachel just shared with us, we're at approximately 640 pre-applications year to date. We still have almost 2 months left in our calendar year, and we only had 598 last year for the entire year. Now, not all of those result in actual applications, because Bill knows how many times we get approached, and some of these things don't ever actually result in pre-applications. It's a preliminary meeting for me and my great idea on the lot I just bought without finding out what I was eligible to do on that lot. We have lots of those meetings with folks that don't ever show up in our application statistics. And yes, that's where we deny things. I mean, we get lots of bad ideas. We get lots of ideas that would work in our sister counties, would work north of the state line in some other state, but they're not appropriate for our county and our neighborhoods. So do we deny lots of things? Yes. We tell people their idea is a bad idea every day. Now, we do it diplomatically, of course, because everybody that comes to us is coming to us to fulfill their dream of development, whether that's their single-family home or whether that's building a pool at their house that they've owned for a long time, or whether it's proposing a subdivision or some large commercial development. It's somebody's dream, and not all of these dreams get realized. And the public does not see that generally when that happens. Because our job here at Technical Review is to make sure that we're moving forward projects that are actually eligible to be developed on a particular parcel based on the zoning and the comprehensive plan. And then making sure that those projects that are not major developments comply with the Land Development Code, because this is the final stop before they get approved to build or approved to develop. There's still an additional stop before building, but that sometimes is lost on our public, and I appreciate you pointing that out, that there are so many bad ideas that just the public never sees because our staff squashes those ideas at the very beginning before they spend a large amount of money. Because by the time folks get to this committee, they've spent tens of thousands of dollars to get here and then find out that, oh, I can't do what I've already spent this large amount of money preparing to do. That's a disservice. That would be a disservice to our public if that's what we did here. Making people spend a large amount of money before they find out that they can't do what they're proposing to do. I would much prefer discouraging those ideas before they spend that large amount of money than at this committee. And that's why you don't see those things get denied here. We deny those bad ideas, at least informally. We talk people out of it.
Right, or suggest an option that would fit the land use and the buffering requirements, preservation, stormwater, et cetera, at the pre-application stage. So a lot of filters happen before they even get to the public meeting.
And that is absolutely one of the purposes of the pre-application, so that we identify either a bad idea or an idea that's not going to be achievable and still comply with the regulations. That's the purpose of the pre-application meeting, to try to screen out those things that can't be done and to try to identify those major obstacles to overcome if they want to proceed with that kind of development plan. But that's not what we do when we get in here. That work has already been done. And then if they're proposing to develop something that is allowable, there's a tremendous amount of review work that's been done before it ever gets to this committee. And as we well know, some of these things require a little bit more polishing before they're ready to be approved. But it is not our job to deny projects at the Technical Review Committee. We try to screen out those bad ideas before they ever make application. And I applaud our staff for being very diligent in doing that. We got some great folks that are doing these pre-applications, and they do a very good job of sharing with people diplomatically that their dream may not be achievable in the context that they're proposing it. So I did want to get that on the record, and I appreciate you for bringing that up. Do we have any more public comment or questions about any of these things we talked about?
The only other thing I wanted to add was in regard to the Zoom is when we did have the pandemic and we were dealing with it, that issue, and we had no troubles operating Zoom at the TRC level, receiving input from the public from afar via Zoom. So I don't see any, as was stated before, I don't see any negative reason not to implement that aspect of this meeting again. You know, again, we have control of the volume. We have control of you know, the Zoom deal. So anyway, I just wanted to say for the whole 2020 and into 2021, that we were using Zoom, we didn't really have any issues that would suggest that we shouldn't allow that participation. So I just wanted to state that.
I would concur with that also. It seemed to work fine for us. We'll get some rules in place and consider that at the next meeting. If there's no further business, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.